The party was loud, lights flashing, music thumping through the hall like it wanted to shake us awake. I should have known better than to let my guard down. He was there, my boyfriend's boss, smiling that polished smile, the one that hid everything and promised nothing. It started as a dare, a ridiculous challenge whispered by my friends, teasing, pushing, daring me to cross a line I shouldn't have. And I did. At first it felt silly. A kiss, a laugh, a little adrenaline in the middle of champagne bubbles and loud laughter. I told myself it was harmless, that it didn't mean anything, that tomorrow I'd laugh it off with him and forget it ever happened. But the moment lingered longer than it should. His hands, the look in his eyes, the way he leaned closer, it wasn't just a joke. My heart raced in a way it hadn't for months, and I tried to shake it off, tried to tell myself I was imagining something that wasn't there. Then came the message. Short, simple, but it struck me like a bullet. We need to talk. Alone. And I knew instantly it wasn't just about the party. My boyfriend, the one I'd shared late-night talks with, lazy Sunday mornings, promises whispered in the dark, he saw it. And I couldn't even begin to apologize properly because deep down, I understood the truth I had been trying to avoid. Some lines, once crossed, can't be uncrossed. And that night, sitting in my room, the flashing neon of my phone lighting up the walls, I realized that the game had ended before I even knew it had begun. I wanted to call him, to explain, to beg, to make it seem like it was nothing, but my fingers froze. How do you explain that something meant to be a dare became a mistake too big to fix? And yet, somewhere in the back of my mind, a tiny, stubborn hope whispered that he might forgive, that this could somehow still be a story we laughed about later. The next morning the apartment felt different. Empty, hollow, like the air itself knew what had happened and refused to stay neutral. He didn't answer my calls. He didn't reply to texts. Each notification that wasn't from him was a small reminder of what I had lost, a quiet accusation I couldn't escape. Friends tried to distract me, tried to make it seem like it wasn't the end of anything, but I couldn't laugh, couldn't pretend. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face, the hurt, the disbelief, the quiet anger that simmered just beneath the surface. I replayed the party in my head 1,000 times. The laugh that had meant nothing, the dare I had convinced myself was harmless. I remembered how his eyes had searched mine in that moment, seeking something I couldn't give, something I shouldn't have. And now, each memory felt like a chain, binding me to the consequences I had ignored. I tried to justify it, rationalize it, tell myself that I had been reckless but not malicious. But deep down, I knew that excuses would never reach him. Days passed. Weeks. And still no word. The silence grew heavier with each passing day, pressing against my chest, suffocating, relentless. I thought about calling him, about showing up at his office, leaving notes, begging him to hear me out. But every attempt felt smaller, weaker, as if the more I tried, the more I pushed him away. And in that silence, I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit. Some mistakes don't come with second chances. Some lines, once crossed, stay crossed forever. And then finally came the confirmation I had dreaded. He was gone. Not angry anymore, not frustrated, not hurt in the way that could be mended. Just gone. A void where someone who had been my anchor, my safe place, had existed. Gone for good. And I was left alone with the echo of my own choices, the weight of my actions, and the impossible task of forgiving myself when he could not. Weeks turned into months and life carried on around me but not with me. I went through the motions, work, friends, daily routines, but everything felt hollow, as if the world had moved on while I was still stuck in that party, that kiss, that reckless dare. I tried to convince myself that maybe it was a lesson, that perhaps losing him was the universe's way of teaching me something about respect, boundaries, and the consequences of impulsive choices. Sometimes I'd catch myself imagining how things could have been, what I would have said, how I would have stopped myself, how I would have chosen differently. But fantasies offered no comfort, they were only shadows of what could never be. He had moved on, gone for good, leaving a space that no explanation or apology could ever fill. And in the quiet, late at night, I finally understood the truth I had been avoiding. Some mistakes can't be erased. Some trust, once broken, can't be rebuilt. All I could do was carry it with me, as heavy as it felt, as real as the pain, and learn that courage doesn't always come from bold acts. It sometimes comes from facing the consequences of the ones you wish you could undo. The party, the dare, the kiss, it was a moment, but its memory was a lifetime.